What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Run Pure Best Ball Show. I'm Simon Edwards, joined by Mitch Snyder as always, and we're going to go over some of the recent NFL schedule release that came out last week. We're going to kind of take a look at the schedule, how it pans out, and some teams that might have advantages and disadvantages based on that and their bye weeks and everything. But first, let's bring in Snyder. Snyder, how's it going, man? How much best ball have you been getting in recently?
It's going pretty good. I've been dabbling here and there with the NFL streets and getting into the PGA more so this week, guys. We got the PGA Championship coming up, but yeah, looking forward to another show here. We finally got the schedule release out that we've been waiting for, so we've got some pretty tasty matchups. It looks like some good weeks to attack and such. Looking forward to diving into this with you.
Yeah, same here, and it's kind of one of those missing pieces of the puzzle that we get as the offseason kind of goes along is figuring out when these bye weeks are happening. I don't like to go heavy into best ball, any type of best ball, before we know when teams are going to have bye weeks, because you don't want to get stuck with two quarterbacks if you only draft two quarterbacks that are stuck on the same bye week and stuff like that. So it's definitely good to get this piece of puzzle out of the way. We've had bunch of different pieces coming to us as the off season's gone by. We've had the draft, we've had trades and free agency, and now we have the actual schedule in front of us. So we can kind of get closer and closer to being more confident, like with our drafts and everything. And the only thing that we have now is basically going through training camp and seeing how training camp pans out. And there's still a few big name players that have not ended up on teams yet, like Odell Beckham. He's still floating out there. We got a couple of the quarterbacks in Baker Mayfield and Jimmy Garoppolo. I've kind of been thinking that that's not going to get sorted out until we know more about Jimmy G's playing status for the season. He's had recent shoulder surgery, so I think teams are probably going to want to wait to see how he's going to pan out before they make a decision between him and Baker Mayfield if they're in quarterback need. Teams that might make a play for him are Carolina, who have, Sam Darnold and Matt Corral. Is that who they drafted?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, and then we got Seattle that has Drew Lock. And I don't know if they drafted a quarterback. Did they draft a quarterback?
I don't think so.
Yeah. So they got Drew Lock. So there's a good chance that they might be in the. My kid is screaming downstairs. I don't know what he's freaking out about. So we don't know what's going to happen there in Seattle either. They could end up needing one of those two quarterbacks. So if we look at kind of what's come out last week with these with the schedule release, we can notice that there's some teams that have significant disadvantages. Like there are these little quirks. Like Warren Sharp put out an email recently, just kind of pointing out some of these teams that have like these weird schedule quirks that might be a big advantage or disadvantage to them. Two of the samples that he gave out were the Eagles, who have 4 short week road games this season. So there's a disadvantage there for the Eagles as far as games that they can win during the season. There's 4 disadvantages that they have there. And the Cowboys were kind of on the opposite side of the spectrum. They have 6 advantageous weeks this season, games that they're playing. Snyder, what when you look at the schedule and you see how it panned out and all these kind of quirks with those short weeks and long weeks, what is your first thinking, like, as far as who you want to draft and how it's going to affect your best ball drafting?
Yeah, I see that Eagles deal. I was kind of looking at some of those guys. I like how they have a pretty easy schedule, but going on the road 4 times on short weeks, I mean, that's tough for any team. And they're going to have some new additions there with A.J. Brown there. I was kind of looking at them as they are number 2, it looks like, for the easiest strength of schedule. They're 8.5 wins. Their 8.5 line for the win is heavily juiced to the over. So I was looking at the Eagles there, some other teams. I was kind of off of Dallas. So if they're going to have a really tough final stretch too, without any rest, I could even help me get off of Dallas even more. Some of the teams that I was happy to see the advantageous schedules for them would be like the Colts. I was on some of those guys. I think Michael Pittman's going to have a pretty big year this year. I was kind of looking to target him. Tampa Bay. I most liked the addition of Russell Gage there at Tampa Bay. I think he's going to fit in pretty well there. He's going like right around the 50th overall receiver. Right around 90 to 100 is where he's. I think he's somewhere around there. I think maybe he's moved up. I think since then he's right around 75 ADP. So I like Tampa Bay. I like the Colts, and I still like the Broncos. They're like mid-pack for strength of schedule, but I really like the Denver Broncos team going forward this year a lot. I think they're going to put up a lot of points this year. Their win total is pretty high. It's the highest I've seen for Denver in a long time at 10.5. So I like Denver quite a bit as well.
Yeah, Denver's a team that I like going into the playoffs as well, like the best ball playoffs. They seem to have a decent amount of competitive games in those playoffs. I think they faced the Chiefs twice in that stretch of final weeks. They faced them in week 14, which would be the final game of the regular season for best ball, and then they face him again in championship week. So week 17 they face him again. So that's very interesting for the Broncos there. Also for the Chiefs, honestly, as if you needed more reason to draft those Mahomes receivers. I mean, that gives you a good incentive right there. One of the things that's tricky with best ball is just kind of trying to strategize your bye weeks, trying to figure out the teams that you like the most and making sure that you're not competing with your players with bye weeks. And one of the things that I noticed in week 9 is going to be a killer week because they got the Browns, they got the Cowboys, they got the Broncos, they got the 49ers, the Steelers, and the Giants all on bye in that week. And there's several of those teams that I've been drafting pretty heavily in there, especially the Browns and the Broncos. Those are the two teams that I think I've been focusing the most on trying to stack this season. And we still don't know what's going to happen with Deshaun Watson, by the way, but I'm thinking that that's going to come out this month because now that we're past the schedule release, all the ballyhoo that the NFL likes, they don't want any distractions with. Now that's over, and now we can kind of get to figuring out what the suspensions are on lingering suspensions. So we'll figure that out soon, I'm guessing. Week 10. It's also got significant teams on it. We got the Ravens, Bengals, Jets, and Patriots. Particularly the Ravens, Bengals, and Jets. I think Snyder and I have both been drafting them pretty heavily. So that's pretty significant there for Week 10. Just trying to make sure that we're not drafting too much crossover with those teams and making sure that we have our bye weeks protected. Week 11, the Jaguars, Bucks, Seahawks, and Dolphins. Jags and Bucks and Dolphins mainly in those in that week for me. Snyder, are you seeing any of these bye weeks that I just mentioned that are going to affect you personally with your best ball drafting?
Yeah, the thing that jumps out to me the most would be Week 9 and Week 14 as the only 2 weeks this year where we have 6 teams on bye. I mean, that's going to be pretty tough, I think, for us in the best ball streets. I think I like the Browns quite a bit, more so in the passing game. I don't really know if I don't think I want to stack the two. I mean, I could take a chance on one of the Cleveland running backs. I generally don't like to play them in DFS just because they kind of take away from each other. But if one of them happens to go down, I mean, the other one's going to see a ton of workload. So I can see taking them more so in like the best ball streets. They got Watson, Cooper, Peoples-Jones, and they got the rookie David Bell. I think that offense is going to have a lot of explosive plays this year if Deshaun Watson is there on the field for him. I think he's going to come out with a vengeance if he does get a play this year. He's been sitting back He's been listening to everybody critique him and criticize him. I think he's going to come out and have a pretty big year this year if he's not too rusty, but I think he'll be all right. So I like the Browns, the Broncos, like I said. The 49ers are right there, so I have the most conviction on those three of the 6 teams in that bye week. And then coming to week 14, I'll be off the Falcons, probably off the Bears, but I do like the Packers, the Colts. Not sure about what I'm going to do with Washington yet. It just comes down to where they are. I think McLaurin and like Antonio Gibson are solid there. They got the rookie Jahan Dodson there. They got Carson Wentz, though, and I'm not a Carson Wentz guy at all, but I could be persuaded to take some shares of Brian Robinson late in drafts. I think he's going like right around the 56th running back overall taken right now, right around 180, 190 ADP. So I could be maybe taking some dart throws on Robinson at the end of drafts. The Saints are going to be interesting. I do like to target some Jameson. I think he's going to chuck. Michael Thomas is back. They got Chris Olave, the rookie, and then they got Jarvis Landry now. So, I mean, and they got Alvin Kamara, as they've always had. I mean, that could be a pretty explosive offense on the turf there. I mean, Jameis is going to be chucking. There could be a lot of points being put up there, too. So those two weeks with 6 bye weeks are definitely tough. Don't want to be drafting too many of those same guys from that same bye week, like you mentioned. And then I do like the Ravens more solely. A few guys off of the Ravens team this year. I'm not going to go too in depth on them. Mainly just Mark Andrews and J.K. Dobbins are the 2 guys I'm really looking at. Maybe some Lamar Jackson if he follows me at fairly good value. He's going right around QB3. It looks like right now for the underdog position ADP. So. The Bengals, as always, and the Jets. We talked about the Jets last show, how the Jets, I think, is going to be one of those teams with a lot of offensive upside this year. They got Elijah Moore coming back, and then they added Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall, the 2 of the top prospects in their position. Breece Hall was the number 1 running back, I thought, coming out. And then they got Garrett Wilson there, too, who was, I think, a top 5 receiver coming out of the draft this year. And then we can't forget about Michael Carter there too. I think that's going to be kind of like a little thunder and lightning with Carter and Hall. So yeah, there's a lot of interesting opportunities here with these mainly weeks 9, 10, and 14, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I'm with you on the Jets there. I think the Jets are. I don't know how sneaky they're going to be at this point because I'm hearing a lot of people talking about them at this point. So I think their sneakiness is not going to be there. I think the Saints though are going to be pretty sneaky because everybody's kind of talking like them in past tense and talking about the good steal that the Eagles got on them in the draft and everything, trading their 2 first overalls for a 2023 first and a 2022 first. So I think that the Saints are kind of going overlooked, and I'm with you on Jameis. Everybody likes making fun of Jameis, and I see a guy who's actually putting in an effort to be good this year. Who's actually gonna be like putting in effort. So I don't understand why people rip on him. I get it, like he's kind of goofy sometimes, but I just see Jameis as having a potential to. He had a potential to have a career resurrection last year, and he was heading in that direction before he tore his ACL. And this season, I think he's putting in the work to recover from that, and I think that they're giving him some weapons to work with. He's got Michael Thomas back. You mentioned Landry. They drafted Chris Olave. You have a better idea on Olave than I do, but they spent significant draft capital to get him. So he's got weapons, and then the tight end there, and like you said, Kamara. So they got weapons there in the Saints. So they're an interesting one. I think you can probably build those sneaky, cheap stacks with. And Bears, I'm with you. Skipping the Bears, skipping the Falcons. maybe Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is the only one I'm really interested in there. Commanders, they're another one of those ones that had the bad luck as far as the schedule draw, as far as facing opponents with those mini buys, or they had mini buys that they have to face opponents with. So Washington is one of the 3 teams to play 4 different opponents who are coming off of a mini bye. So that's a disadvantage for Washington. Again, like that's courtesy of Sharp Football Analysis. Make sure to check him out. You can get all these little details that can kind of give you hints on best ball season-long stuff and betting and stuff like that, as far as taking advantage of the schedule releases and stuff like that. So the other week that I wanted to mention, week 6, we got the Lions, Texans, Titans, and Raiders. Week 7 is actually the one I wanted to mention. We got the Bills, Eagles, Vikings, and Rams. They're all on a bye week that week. That's another big week for best ball in particular. I bet a lot of people obviously going to have stacks of the Bills. Eagles are everybody's sneaky pick to win the NFC East at this point. I don't think the Eagles are going to be flying under the radar too much. Vikings, they're always good as far as their offense output and the fantasy players that they have, and obviously the Rams just won the Super Bowl, so that's a significant bye week right there. And then week 8, Chiefs and Chargers, two big teams right there. So I don't know how many opportunities you're going to get to stack the Chiefs and the Chargers teams, so I don't think that's going to affect you too much as far as making your drafting decisions based on bye weeks. But yeah, there's a lot of weeks here that are going to be pretty impactful as far as our drafting, affecting our drafting. But Snyder, let's start diving into a draft here.
Okay.
I'm gonna set up the shot. Why don't you tell people about the PGA best ball that you've been playing recently on Underdog?
Yeah, they've got a tournament going this week for the PGA Championship. It's a $10 entry. It's called the Albatross. It's been pretty soft. I've done quite a few drafts so far from Sunday into Monday now. It's gonna start Thursday morning, so you need to get all your drafts completed by then. It's got a $50,000 prize pool with $10,000 to first. You basically go through, you draft 10 golfers, and your top 6 scores is going to be what is counted in your points. Highest points is going to win the tournament. And they've had some, I've noticed a lot of flaws with how they have certain golfers ranked and such. Like Will Zalatoris is poorly ranked. He's down the board a ways. I was getting him in the 3rd round quite often. And you got some guys just taking players that aren't even playing this week as well. They got Phil Mickelson, Harris English, Sung J M, a few guys like that aren't even in the field this week. They either withdrew or they are not, or they're injured and not playing. So that's a pretty big advantage there too. So I've been trying to pound out as many of those as I can. Hopefully this PGA product kind of takes off more. So hopefully these contests can sell out and such, and then they can start adding more PGA as the season goes. As we're just now getting into, I realize this is the 2nd major already, but we're now just getting into the summer schedule. So we'll have next month will be another major. And then the following month will be the last major, the Open Championship. So looking forward to doing more of these PGA best balls, and hopefully they continue to fill up.
Yeah, and the code that you can use is RunPure. You go into Underdog and you use the promo code RunPure on your first deposit. You're going to get up to $100 deposit match on that. And we always talk about it. It's $25 to enter these Best Ball Manias. That's 4 entries into that. They're going to have puppies coming out soon, and the puppies are $5 contests that have pretty decent prize pools. And those usually come out probably about a month after the main Best Ball Mania 3, which is what we're going to be drafting today. That'll get you 20 entries into a puppy. So that 20 entries into a puppy will get you really familiar with ADP, and that's something that you want to do. You want to try to figure out ADP to a point where you know which players are coming up, where you have to draft guys in order to stack the teams that you want and stuff like that. When you're going over all these puzzle pieces that we talk about throughout this offseason, about the teams that have the new coaches, the teams that have the best bye weeks, the teams that, you know, like had the best draft or had the best free agency, all that kind of stuff, you're going to want to figure out where these players are being drafted so you can make your stacks and make sure that you're not stacking two teams on the same buys and everything like that. So you want to get as much practice as you can, and a better way to do that is wait for the puppies to come out, so you're only paying $5 per entry as opposed to the Best Ball Mania 3. But if you wanted to use it just for Best Ball Mania 3, you got 4 entries into that with a $100 deposit match. So, Snyder, if you're ready...
Yeah, I'm ready.
I'm ready. We can jump in on the count of 3 here. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, enter. 9 more to start on my end. Same with you? Or 8?
Yeah, mine says 8 more to start. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I got 8 right now.
Perfect.
So that's going to be interesting when we get into this one, because I haven't drafted a fast one in a little while. Since our last show, I've been working on 4 slow drafts. I've just been taking my time on those, just kind of using it as a way to get an idea of ADP and seeing where players are going at this point in the season. It's definitely some good values out there that I recognize. 2 of the main ones that I'm recognizing as far as early rounds are Saquon Barkley and Aaron Jones. Those guys are both going pretty late in the second round, early third round. And Aaron Jones, man, we talked about him a few times since we've been doing these shows this offseason. He's completely getting overlooked as far as the Packers not having any weapons right now. And Lazard is their wide receiver 1 right now, and Christian Watson is pretty much their wide receiver 2, or him or Amari Rodgers. So a guy like Aaron Jones, who's a significant passing game threat, we've seen him kind of take over a receiver role when a receiver got banged up in a Packers game or whatever, and Aaron Jones has come away with some huge receiving games, and I think that this season he's going to have a significant role in that passing game. And to see him going in like the early third, that's a steal to me, man. I'm trying to get him in the second round when I can, because there's pretty slim pickings in the second round this year. I don't want Tyreek. I don't want Kamara. It's tough for me to pull the trigger on a guy like Leonard Fournette and guys like that. So when I see guys like Aaron Jones and Saquon Barkley in the second round, I just feel like they're not going to be as low as they are throughout the entire offseason. Like, what are your thoughts on guys like that? Who are you noticing, Snyder, as your values in those first couple rounds there?
Yeah, I think Aaron Jones is a solid value there. I still like Javonte Williams pretty big. I think he's going right as around RB11 right now. I mean, I would take him over a lot of these guys. I'd rather have Javonte over Swift. I'd rather have him over Kamara. I'd rather have him over Najee Harris. I'd rather have him over Joe Mixon. Dalvin Cook's questionable with that, whether I'd have him over him. I'm pretty bullish on Javonte Williams this year. So I have Javonte Williams as a top 5 running back this year in my rankings. So that's a guy I really like. I think the value on Saquon at 12, where's he going? RB14 looks like underdog ADP. So I definitely like the value on Saquon there. He's got the elite talent upside. He's kind of risky, though. I mean, we've seen him be injured for quite some time, and now he's kind of getting to that age where he's been in the league for a while. He's going to start slowing down one of these years, but yeah, he's a tough one to consider. I like J.K. Dobbins. I think he's one of my favorite. I think he's a top 10 running back in ADP for Dobbins for underdog is RB19. So that's a huge value. I think his upside, I realized he got hurt last year, didn't really have that sophomore breakout that I was hoping for, but maybe third time's the charm this year he comes out. I mean, that offense is going to be well built towards the run. I mean, they put a lot of assets into that offensive line, and they drafted 3 tight ends. So I think they're really going to try and focus on the run game a lot this year. So I like Dobbins quite a bit this year.
Yeah, another value that I'm noticing, I think he was in the same class as Dobbins, same draft class as Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders is going at ADP of 84 right now. That's close to the, what is that, like the 7th round. So you can get as far into the 7th round and still have a quality guy like Miles Sanders. He had a bad year last year. We kind of showed, we kind of saw, like, he had no touchdowns, I don't think, last year. So he had a pretty poor year last year, but I think he has a potential to bounce back this year. Jalen Hurts, he's probably going to be throwing more this year. They picked up A.J. Brown. I'm not sure how that's going to affect the run game, but yeah, I think Miles Sanders will probably, it's probably a do or die season for him. If he isn't able to perform this year, then you can forget about it. It might as well just be Kenneth Gainwell's backfield at that point. I don't know how that competition between Sanders and Gainwell is going to shape up as the offseason goes on. But right now, Miles Sanders is looking like a pretty good deal at ADP of 84. So that's another one that I like as far as running backs. Edwards-Helaire, he's going pretty late considering he's, right now anyways, he's kind of penciled in as the lead back for the Chiefs. They weren't really committed to him last season. You could tell that, like, as we went into the playoffs and everything like that. They were giving guys like Jerick McKinnon big opportunities, but Clyde Edwards-Helaire was hurt for a few games last season too, so he was banged up. So I'm not sure what to think there. I'm probably going to skip him. Like, Snyder, do you have any thoughts on Edwards-Helaire this season? Are you making any investments into him?
I really haven't been on him at all since he came into the NFL, so I'll probably just continue to be off of him. Something that really interests me is the backfield in San Francisco. Like, what's going to happen there? They drafted Tyrion Davis-Price, and then they still have Trey Sermon there, which it'll be interesting to see if they can get things ironed out there. They got Elijah Mitchell, who had some really big games this year at times. So that's a one backfield that I'll be watching for news updates throughout the summer and see where that leads to as training camp starts.
Yeah, so Snyder, it looks like our draft is starting. You got first pick overall, which is nice. I like every time I start one of these damn underdog drafts, I have to scan all the way to the end just to see where I'm freaking drafting, and I'm in the ninth spot this time, pretty close to the back end. I think I can still get decent players in the nine hole, but it's not where I want to be this season. This season is all about being up front, I think. Although you can't get some decent guys falling to you towards the back end, but I'm getting sick of drafting from the end of these drafts.
I hear ya. I just went with Jonathan Taylor.
Yep.
Number one overall player. I think they got a favorable schedule too this year.
Yeah. Cooper Kupp's getting drafted second and third.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy.
Yeah. I like him, but I feel like, we saw a ceiling last year. There's only down. He can only go down from here. So drafting him second overall, third overall, I was on board with it. Like, for the first, like, the more I think about it, the more I think I'd rather fade Cooper Kupp at that high of a valuation. Just because, I just don't know if he can maintain that for another season. He kind of came out of nowhere last year. Obviously had the connection with Matthew Stafford right off the bat, but I don't know about his ability to continue that 2 years in a row. I think he benefited from injuries last year to Robert Woods obviously going out. Like, Robert Woods started off the season kind of slow last year. All right, right now I'm looking at Dalvin Cook or Najee Harris. I like to opt for the younger guy in that situation. So I just drafted Najee Harris. I think Najee Harris is another one of those guys that could have a top 3, top 5 RB season this year. His usage is just off the charts.
Yeah, for sure. I think he's a guy to look out for sure. Looking at who's all went. Dalvin Cook just went as well. Devontae Adams. I think Devontae Adams that late, could be a huge value, I think, with him going right there too. I think Najee Harris is solid. Stephon Diggs went right before you too. Jamar Chase we're not going to be getting that value tag we had on Chase this year, which is kind of hurtful, but he did all right for us last year.
Yeah, right now I am looking at, this is one of those years that I don't mind going back-to-back running backs in the first couple rounds and just kind of waiting on a receiver. If CeeDee Lamb doesn't make it to me, I think that's what I would prefer to do. We got Kelsey still on the board. I'm just not sold on Kelsey this year, although it is. Okay, so now I have.
I'm kind of worried.
Yeah, he's just like, he's getting old. I don't like his situation that much.
I think they're going to be able to key in on him more this year without Tyreek there as well.
Yeah, man,
it's a tough spot.
This is why I hate drafting like towards the back end. If you're in the front, then you can start your draft with Jonathan Taylor or Christian McCaffrey, and then on the roundabout the next time around, you can pick up Barkley and Jones for the most part.
Yeah.
Like, it's just to start your draft off with those 3 running backs is just huge. You just set yourself up for some monster weeks.
I was looking at some stats to see which roster construction had the most advances last year, and it was 5 running backs on the team had the most teams advance into the playoffs last year. Yeah,
interesting. Yeah, those advance rates are pretty interesting stuff. Some of the I've seen some of the underdog guys tweet them out before. Have you seen any in particular? Any little nuggets in those tweets or like just data that you've noticed besides what you just mentioned?
Not really, just what I mentioned. I'm gonna try and pull it up right now where I seen that, and see if I can get it more in depth here. Oh, there it is. I found it. I'm up in 1 pick. I got a couple picks here.
Sure. Yeah.
Probably going. Might just load up on 2 running backs here and just get 3 running backs and then just hammer a receiver the rest of the way.
That's pretty much what I've been doing when I get in the top half of the draft. And I'm traditionally not a robust RB type of drafter. But this year, the draft kind of just falls to you that way if you get in that top half there.
Yeah, I'm going to take Kamara just for his upside. I think that's a pretty good value, basically right in the 3rd round.
Yeah.
And then I'm probably going to go. I think the Browns could score some points this year, so I just might go with Chubb. If Hunt goes down, Chubb could be a monster this year. So I'm going to go with those 2.
Yeah, I don't hate Chubb either. I also don't think that Kareem Hunt will necessarily be on the Browns roster by the time the season starts. I think they could potentially. Yeah, I mean, they could potentially trade him away. They just signed Dearness Johnson to a new contract, I believe. So if they're paying money for that third option in the running game, I wouldn't be surprised if Hunt is released. Free him up some cap space or housekeeping or whatever you want to call it.
I found that. Oh, what's that?
Oh, I was gonna say I'm 2 picks up. Saquon Barkley.
Yeah,
is still
Saquon
there.
would be nice.
Yeah. With my luck, I don't think he'll make it to me though.
It's possible. I found that deal of the highest roster construction last year was 2 quarterbacks, 5 running backs, 9 receivers, and 2 tight ends. That was, it looks like about 7,000 entries higher than any other type of construction. And the highest advance rate was 3 different scenarios where they drafted 5 running backs. It either was 6 receivers, 7 receivers, or 8 receivers with at least 3 tight ends as well.
Yeah. There was some stuff that I heard floating around with how early you draft these players too. Like if you take your first 3 running backs in like the first 5 rounds or something like that, I think there was an advantage. There's a bunch of stuff like that. Maybe on our next show we'll kind of hone in on that type of data.
Yeah.
Just kind of look at advance rates and stuff like that.
Yeah, it sounds good. We could find all that stuff for sure pretty quickly.
So I ended up getting Barkley. He ended up falling to me. Right now, I'm kind of considering. I don't have any wide receivers yet, but I was going to go with Darren Waller, but he just got snatched. So, man, I have Terry McLaurin next on my queue, but I like Amari Cooper here because I'm liking the Browns, the way the schedule fell to them. They just seem like, it just seems to me like I'm trying to stack as many Browns teams as I can, basically, passing games. I've kind of avoided the run game except for Hunt in hopes that maybe he sticks around on the team by the time the season starts up. But I do have a feeling that he might not make it that far before they end up trading him or something.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Because you know it's going to happen. Like at some point during this offseason, some team is going to have a running back injury or something like that, and then Kareem Hunt's going to be one of the top guys on the list as a replacement. So he will be sought after.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Chris Godwin here for my number 1 receiver. And it's either between Jerry Jeudy and J.K. Dobbins. I might just load up and go 4 stud running backs and try and just hit some big weeks with some of these receivers. We've seen receivers have big weeks here and there. I'm going to go with Dobbins just because I'm a homer. And I got 4 running backs right now. 2 of them are on the same bye week, but I'm not too worried about that. Now I can just sit back and load up on pass catchers now, I think.
Yeah, I think you are in a good situation with your running backs. And a few years ago, we did find out that robust RB was a viable strategy. I believe the best ball winner 2 years ago won with that strategy. And last year felt more like one of those years that something like a 0 RB strategy made more sense. But this year, the way that the draft is falling, I'm back. I'm on the robust RB type of bandwagon.
Yeah, I'm just kind of looking at the 5 RB construction. Too early was a high advance rate, and it actually had the highest top 1% as well. I'm seeing.
Interesting. Yeah.
But I mean, that was the highest account. Also, the most rosters had that same construction. So you got to take that into account too.
Yeah. So right now I'm a few picks away, a couple picks away. I'm looking at Allen Robinson and Cortland Sutton. I think I'd go with Sutton. Sutton first, and then
I
hope
like that Denver
Robinson.
offense. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm trying to, like I said, like Denver and the Browns are two of the offenses that I am most interested in. Unfortunately, they both have the same bye week. I'm already looking at my that week 9 is going to be killer this year, man. I've got Najee Harris, Saquon Barkley, and Amari Cooper all on week 9 buys, and I'm about to pick up another guy. Somebody grabbed ETN. So I'm going to grab Sutton here, and I'm going to grab Robinson on the way back.
I like that.
And you know what? Actually, what round are we in? We're coming up on round 6, and Kyler Murray's still on the board. I might consider quarterback with my next pick. Although, you know what? I like Robinson, though. This is where it gets a little bit tricky, because this is one of those years I don't feel like you need to draft a quarterback that early. I'm still finding a lot of value in quarterback when you get to round 7, 8. Last year I felt like you needed to kind of draft a quarterback in rounds 5, 6. That's where like Josh Allen was going. That's where you could get like Lamar Jackson. All those dudes were falling in 5, 6. And this year, it just seems like there's a lot more depth at the quarterback position.
I like that. Just kind of looking at, there Michael Thomas just went. I was kind of looking at that Saints stack as that might be something I look to target with like Olave and Jarvis Landry with Jameis Winston or something. That's quite a ways off from those guys going, though.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm looking at Allen Robinson and Jalen Hurts as my two options here that I'm considering. You know what? The value on Allen Robinson right now is really good. Draft him in
I like
64th, and he's got an ADP of like 56, I believe it was.
He's got a chance. I keep saying this, but He's got a chance to finally break out. He's got a legitimate quarterback this year. He's in a better offensive system. I kind of feel bad for the guy. He's been stuck in just some terrible situations so far in his career, but hopefully this year he can come out with some pretty big games and have a good season this year.
Yeah, I do like his situation for sure, and the Rams are the perfect team for a veteran like him. We saw what Stafford and McVay were able to do for Beckham last year. Beckham trapped in receiver purgatory with the Browns and Baker Mayfield for a few years, and it kind of put him into obscurity basically, and he was a stud for the first few years of his career, and to have him kind of put in that situation where he just had horrible quarterback play and he wasn't able to put up like make any plays or anything like that, and then he goes with Stafford over on the Rams and he's able to seemingly get back on track within a few weeks of playing on that team. It just goes to show, when you're in the right system, when you're playing with the right quarterback and everything, like how huge it can be for a receiver.
Yeah, for sure. I just took a couple of receivers. Elijah Moore, I like his upside in that offense this year. And then I took a guy that's, I think, going to be consistent. Like last year, we saw Hunter Renfrow just be very consistent and have 6, 7, 8 catches a game. And now he's got Devontae Adams there to kind of take some pressure off. I think he's going to be running over the middle more freely as they got Waller and Adams now. The defenses are going to have to account for more. So I like that was the guy Hoop was always on in cash games and stuff. I like Hunter Renfrow again this year.
Yep. Yeah, Renfrow, despite Adams joining the team, I still think that Renfrow is in a good spot. It's obviously going to take a bunch of targets away from him, but
yeah,
he's still capable of putting up a decent season, and he's going late enough in these drafts, I think, where
I could see him still like averaging like maybe 5.5 catches a game for like 62 yards or something, average or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm gonna fall right on Sky Moore, like as far as ADP, and I have Lockett ahead of him on these rankings that I got, but I'm going to never mind.
Oh, I was also kind of looking at TJ Hawkinson as well there.
Yeah. I've kind of I've never really been a TJ Hawkinson guy.
Yeah, he's got some injury issues for sure.
What round are we? 7? I'm going to go with Miles Sanders here. It's kind of
there you go.
Yeah, it just seems he's going too late. I didn't really need another running back, but I did need some differentiation from those week 9 buys that I have with Najee and Saquon. So that gives me a week 14 and a week 7 for week 9 when those week 9 guys are on the bench. All right, I'm up again in 4 picks here. I'm going to go with a quarterback. I think I'm going to take Matthew Stafford here. I like the upside of Trey Lance, but definitely prefer Stafford since I got Robinson, and I don't think I've done a ton of Ram stacks yet. Well, I've only drafted like 2 teams, so I don't have a ton of anything just yet. But when I was doing drafters before the big Best Ball Mania came out, I was drafting a decent amount there, probably about 20 drafts there, but I didn't take a whole lot of Ram stacks in those either.
I'm up in 11 picks. If Garrett Wilson falls to me there for the Jets, I can take him, and I'd have a Jets double there. I would need to target Zach Wilson later then.
Yeah, don't hate that.
Christian Watson's another guy. Russell Gage is down there for receiver options. Dallas Goedert and TJ Hawkinson are a couple tight ends there as well. Dawson Knox.
So I just drafted Stafford. He got him right around his ADP. ADP is 89. I took him at pick 88. Hoping that he's able to continue what he started last season. Very nice quarterback season last year. Interesting to see where he ended up finishing up in general. But you go ahead and talk about your next pick there, Snyder.
Yeah, I'm looking at one of these pass catchers for sure. Most likely Garrett Wilson, he follows me. He's got about 6 guys ahead of him. I'm 5 picks to him, so I think I might try and attack that Jets double stack there. Hopefully he's there for me, or else I will be going with probably Russell Gage. I like him down there. I could look to a Deshaun Watson. I think that's a great upside pick down there. Trey Lance as well. So those are a couple guys that I'm looking at. TJ Hawkinson just went. That was a guy I was one of the tight ends I was considering. Chase Claypool just went, so I may get. There's one guy in front of me that's already at full wide receiver, so I think it's a pretty good chance that I'll get Garrett Wilson, and then I'm going to look for another to pair him up with. Christian Watson's there. Oh, the guy right before me took my guy. You just hate to see it. So now,
I'm still a little nervous on Trey Lance if he's going to start or not.
I might just go like a Trey Lance, Deshaun Watson, get 2 upside quarterbacks right there. That's what I think I'm going to do.
Man, that's a lot of risk.
It's a boom bust deal there, but
Damn it, I was trying to dissuade you so I could pick up one of those dudes. I got Dusty Stafford as my QB1, so I needed some of that young running upside.
Yeah, we got some. They both could not even play this year, but if they play, they both have big upside. So that's what I'm looking for in this Best Ball Mania.
Yeah, that's exactly what my thinking was.
I'm gonna have to take a third quarterback now because they both have the same bye week.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Wait, are they the same? No, they don't.
Yeah, they're week 9.
Oh, wow.
They're both week 9, yeah.
Yeah, I forgot that the 49ers were on that week 9, too.
But I'm not. I'll take 3 quarterbacks. I'm not worried about that at all.
Yeah. So, I started off the off-season, really high on Kadarius Toney. But as his antics have kind of been turning me off of him, because I don't know if he's pissing off his new coaching staff and he's not one of their regime's picks, but you know what? I'm going to draft Toney. I need some upside at receiver right now. I kind of waited on receiver, so I got to get him. But he's a week 9, so these freaking week 9s are going to kill me, man, because all my favorite teams to target are week 9 buys.
I hear you there. It's definitely going to be interesting for sure.
Yeah. Because right now I want to draft Kenny Golladay too, but he's another week 9. I may be stacking with Daniel Jones because I think the Giants are going to have a turnaround this year. But, I can't. And Michael Gallup, if I wanted to draft him, he's week 9. So you got all these. This is the type of situation that you can get in with these drafts. Is you just got to kind of pay attention to these bye weeks.
Yeah, these bye weeks are going to be a pain. Most notably, the week 9, week 14, like I said, because there's 6 teams on bye week then. I don't know how or why they do it like that. They have 6 teams week 9, 6 teams week 14, and then nobody's got a bye week on week 12. That just doesn't make much sense to me. Then there's 2 weeks like week 8 and week 13. There's only 2 teams with byes. It just doesn't really make much sense to me, but it is what it is, I guess.
So I just had to bite the bullet, and I took Golladay and got another week 9. I was debating on Jameson Williams. I know he's got a lot of upside, but I just don't know when he's gonna, be on the field. He could end up missing 6 games for all we know. We just don't know how his recovery's going yet. Unless have you heard word on his recovery from his ACL tear?
Which one was that? Who's
that? James Williams.
Oh yeah, I haven't really heard much on him, but I would think. When did that happen? He's about 5 months out. So with the way that these ACLs are trending, I could see him playing early in the season. I think he'll probably sit out, or they'll bring him along slowly, like maybe week 4 or 5. I could see him making a return.
Yeah.
I just seen a news deal here about Deshaun Watson. He's scheduled to meet with NFL officials this week. Okay. Josina Anderson reported today the league NFL meeting with a player usually means the league is wrapping up its investigation, but it isn't clear if a ruling will be made by the NFL before Watson's 22 civil cases reach a conclusion.
See how that works out, man? Right after the right after their big moment with the schedule release and the draft, boom. Look what happens. I
might go for a Zach Ertz here. And then,
they don't want any type of negative publicity hitting them when they're having their big moments.
Yeah, for sure. I might even go for a double tight end here and go Ertz, and might go with Freiermuth. I think he'll be a big target in that offense. They'll have to throw the ball to somebody. He'll be a reliable guy over the middle for their not so good quarterbacks. Yeah, I'm going to go double tight end, get tight ends out of the way. Ertz and Pat Freiermuth.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Freiermuth is going to get a lot of work this season. I personally am a big fan of Mike Gesicki this year. I think he actually is going to benefit from
I almost took him.
Tyreek Hill. Yeah. I've heard people like trashing on Gesicki too, and I'm just like, they did the same thing last year, and I bought into it, and I didn't end up drafting enough of them, and then he ended up going off, and I was like, God damn it, I should have just listened to my gut on that. And I'm, this year I'm not messing around with it. I'm just gonna go Gesicki as much as I can. I think he got drafted already, so I'm kind of
yeah. They got Jalen Waddle there as well, who's gonna be the other guy. I think it's gonna be Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Gonna be the two speedsters there.
Yep.
Then Gesicki's kind of going to play the middle of the field. And then, they still do have Chase Edmonds, who's going to see some passing work out of the backfield, I think. But, yeah, it'll be an interesting offense there for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm looking at Albert O as my next pick just because I want to get my tight end situation squared. So I'm going to draft him. That gives me another exposure to the Broncos. I already got Cortland Sutton. Again, week 9, man. Week freaking 9 is going to kill me this year because it's all the players that I want have week 9 as their bye. But, so, I'm going to start looking. I like Jacoby Myers here. I'm surprised I'm not really surprised he's still on the board, but Will Fuller, he's another guy that I think is going to be interesting this year. Once he ends up on whatever team he ends up with, that ADP is going to shoot right up. He'll be in the 80s or 90s. He's at 155 right now. And all it takes is for him to land on a team. That's the funny thing. Everybody knows he's going to land on a team, but nobody wants to invest in him until he's landed on a team, which is funny. Daniel Jones, Trevor Lawrence. I'm not really seeing a need on those guys that I need to draft my next quarterback right away. So, you know what? I might take a chance on Rob Gronkowski here.
There you go.
I do think that there's a potential that he doesn't play this year, so I'm going to draft a third tight end too. But I think the upside on Gronkowski and taking him in the 12th round, I think that once he commits to coming back for another season, I think he bumps up to the 8th or 9th round.
Yeah, I'm going to be up here in 3 picks. I need to start hammering some receivers here, so I'm going to look for some upside receivers. Will Fuller's right there, like you were talking about. Mm-hmm. I'll probably go with him if he's there for one of my receivers. And then maybe that rookie David Bell is an interesting guy.
Yeah, that was going to be my next target.
I was looking at him.
Yeah,
I like David Bell more so than Jahan Dotson. I think the situation's better for Bell, yeah.
I do think, though, that if the Browns end up signing Will Fuller to reunite him with Watson, you can forget about it with David Bell. What round did he get drafted? 2nd round?
I think so. I'm going to take them both, and then maybe one of them will pan out.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I was eyeballing both those dudes, but I think it's getting tougher to find. Jalen Tolbert. I'm not going to take a risk on him since he has a week 9 bye. I don't want to add that situation onto my team. Right now, I'm just kind of stuck with Dusty Jameson Crowder if he makes it back to me. Because I do need wide receivers right now. I've got 4 of my 5 wide receivers are on that week 9 bye.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
Yeah.
I need to check mine here there it is.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to be looking for upside in these later rounds here with my receiver position.
Receivers actually are looking all right. It's just I've got 2 running backs with week 14. 2 of my 4 running backs are week 14, and then both of my quarterbacks are week 9.
I ended up drafting Jameson Crowder. He's not really an upside guy, but you never know.
I think he'll fit in well with that offense, though. I like that.
Yeah. I think so too. He's like the perfect guy for that offense, I think. Especially after they just lost Beasley.
Yeah. I'm up in 10. You're up here in 2 picks.
Let's see.
What are you doing with Odell? I was kind of looking at him a little bit. He's another guy that's going to be coming off ACL.
Yeah. If I knew he was going to be coming back before week 9, I would take him.
I would imagine he would be back before week 9. I mean, he was. Yeah. When did he do that? He injured that January, late January, I think.
Yeah.
So he should be back by, I would say, 9 months. He should be back by October.
Well, my hope is that.
Oh, someone just took him. You just took him, yeah.
Yeah, I just took him. Yeah, like my hope is
I think he'll be back by then.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I'm hoping by drafting him that he's coming back on the Rams, and that give me Beckham and Robinson to stack with Matthew Stafford there for my Rams stack. At that point, I need to grab my next quarterback, I think, on the next time it comes back to me. Now, what are your thoughts on how David Bell is going to affect Donovan Peoples-Jones? Do you think that it's a situation where Peoples-Jones just kind of goes into obscurity and they focus on Bell? Or do you think that Peoples-Jones is going to be a significant part of that Cleveland offense this year?
Yeah, I think that it's kind of going to be split up. I mean, I think it's whoever performs the best. Amari's definitely the number one, and then it's I just have both the Peoples-Jones and David Bell kind of right there meshed into each other. I think we saw some big plays out of Peoples-Jones a couple of times, but I think David Bell's got that big play upside too. He's going to bring in from college. So I'm going to take a quarterback here. I might even take. Yeah, I'm going to take the upside of Zach Wilson with that Jets offense. So I'm going to go Wilson for my third quarterback, and then I'm going to look at a wide receiver. I'm going to go with KJ Hamler out of Denver. I think he's got some upside. Yep. He's a rookie, or he was a rookie last year.
Hamler? I think I think this is his third season. Maybe.
Third season? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. But he missed his either his rookie season or his second year. He got hurt and he was gone.
Yeah, I thought he got hurt one of those years.
Yeah, so he might as well be a rookie at this point.
Hopefully he can do well. I'm just looking at an article on him now. He says he's well ahead of schedule on his recovery. So hopefully, he tore his ACL last year. Was the injury? That was the year he missed. But he tore it in September, so I mean he'll have a full year recovery, so he should be just fine.
Yeah, it should be good to go. Some stiff just took Daniel Jones.
Oh yeah, I seen that.
That's my fault. My fault for freaking waiting that long. You can't wait on your guys, man. You're gonna end up getting burned.
I got 6 receivers, 4 running backs, 2 tight ends, and 3 quarterbacks now. I'm pretty much set everywhere. Maybe take one more running back and the rest receivers, I think.
I think for Oh man, I'm just in a
There's
bad.
Peoples Jones there. I could have taken Peoples Jones, but I went with uh, the Jets quarterback instead.
All right, so I think I can build a nice little Colts stack towards the end here. Just took Matt Ryan as my second quarterback. He's got a week 14 bye, so it doesn't hurt me too much.
Yeah.
There. Yeah, I can build a nice little stack with some dudes that I like to draft late.
So you got 2 picks left, 18 rounds this year. So I'm trying to figure out where I want to go with the last 2. Probably 2 receivers for me, I think.
Who's the Alec Pierce? He already got drafted. Okay. Let's see. I am looking at. Man, I'm looking at slim pickings.
Yeah, it's pretty dusty right now.
Yeah, I'm going with Julio. Hopefully he gets traded to the Colts, and then maybe
there you go.
Reunite them.
That'd be a pretty solid setup for him, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. It makes sense for the Colts as well. And you know how those players usually seem to bounce from team to team in the division in those situations, you know? And he was just with the Titans last year, so I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up with the Colts.
There's a chance I could get Donovan Peoples-Jones still 3 picks away, and he's near the top.
Yeah, one thing to remember with this Best Ball Mania draft is there's only 18 picks. It's different from where we were with the earlier preseason drafts on Underdog. And just to kind of run through the roster requirements, it's 1 QB, 3 wide receivers. I think it was only 2 earlier in the offseason. 1 flex, 2 running backs, 1 tight end, and 10 bench spots. So there's your breakdown there. Snyder, looking at Donovan Peoples-Jones.
I'm going to get him, and I'm going to go Peoples-Jones, and then I kind of like Wan'Dale Robinson out of he played at Nebraska for a couple years, and then he transferred to Kentucky last year, set the record at Kentucky for most catches. I think I might go with him. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Wan'Dale Robinson. He's got super big playmaking upside. He's super fast, shifty guy.
God damn it, Snyder.
He left Nebraska because he was our best athlete, and they just threw him at running back there at the end because nobody else could move the ball for us. He got pissed off and didn't want to play running back, so he transferred.
That's funny. I had him queued up, man. Like when I was putting together my little giant stack there, I had Daniel Jones and I had Wan'Dale queued up. I was thinking that they were going to fall to me in the right spots. I think right now, I think my next target might be Kendrick Bourne. I think he showed some upside with New England. Not like a ton of upside, but he could have some decent spike weeks, I think. Also, I was going to say Laviska, but Laviska just got taken. But yeah, I think I'm going to go with... Oh, you know what? I'm going to go with Paris Campbell here. Just to kind of go with that Ryan stack. Try to get as many Ryan weapons as I can.
Yeah.
We're coming up on round 17. We're coming up on round 18 here.
I think, this is our last round here.
Okay. So
trying to find some diamonds in the rough here. I might have found blonde. We'll see.
I got 4 running backs, but it's Najee, Aaron Jones, Barkley, and Sanders. So I don't think that I necessarily need a 5th one there. I've got 9 receivers. I hate going 2 tight ends and 2 quarterbacks, but I think I'm going to be doing that just so I kind of got trapped into a Matt Ryan situation, so I'm going to try to make the most of that and try to get as many of his receivers with him as I can. And one guy that I've been drafting a lot of has been Ashton Dulin, who in the Showdown streets, you know him from the late season burner who was just getting these crazy splash plays. It seemed like every time he was on the field, he was getting 7 deep targets and catching a couple of them. Man, like he's got some talent.
Yeah.
Like what do you know about that guy based on, like, did he have a significant college career? What was his situation?
I really don't have too much insight on him. Not really. I really don't have much to say about Doolin. I'm not sure what. I don't even know where he went to school. I'd have to Google it.
Gotcha. I think he was undrafted free agent. He had a good year last season on special teams for the Colts, but like every time they used him in the receiving game, he would get a decent amount of targets, and he connected on a couple long ones. I remember I had him in Showdown, that game where he caught like a 60-yard bomb from Carson Wentz, and I put him in my team just because the previous week Wentz had targeted him several times deep, and then he didn't really connect with him on anything, and it just kind of stuck out to me, and I ended up starting him that next game, and he ended up connecting. Let's see. So
I ended up going with Logan Thomas there at the end. He's another guy that's coming back from injury, but I think he should be ready coming into the season.
Cool. So Snyder's team, he ends up with Trey Lance, Deshaun Watson, and Zach Wilson. I like all those dudes. Jonathan Taylor, Alvin Kamara, Nick Chubb, and J.K. Dobbins. So a solid running back core. Chris Godwin, Elijah Moore, Hunter Renfrow, Will Fuller, David Bell, KJ Hamler, Donovan Peoples-Jones, and Wan'Dale Robinson. Some nice upside. And he went with 3 tight ends as well, with Zach Ertz, Pat Freiermuth, and Logan Thomas. So, Snyder, what are your thoughts on taking 3 quarterbacks and 3 tight ends?
It definitely wasn't planned. It's just kind of how it fell. But I like all 3 quarterbacks. I think they have some upside in their offenses and in their legs. I think the running back is the strong point of my team. I think that's pretty solid core 4 guys there. And then it's going to come down to the receivers. I think Godwin and Renfrow are my 2 safe guys. And then I've got some upside kind of built around it. And Ertz, Freiermuth, and Logan Thomas, hopefully they can just put up some decent stats this year and at least get 1 decent tight end score a week.
I like it. So my quarterbacks, I ended up with Matthew Stafford and Matt Ryan. So I got the Dust Bowl for my quarterbacks there. Running back, I ended up with Najee Harris, Aaron Jones, Saquon Barkley, and Miles Sanders. I think my quarterback situation kind of goes to show you, like, if you wait too long on quarterback, it gets a little bit tricky. Like, even on your backup quarterback, I wanted to get at least Daniel Jones to kind of go with my Giants players, but even he ended up going off the board before I had an opportunity to snag him, so I just waited too long on him. Running backs, Najee Harris, Aaron Jones, Saquon Barkley, and Miles Sanders. I'm pretty happy with my running back situation. Wide receivers, Mari Cooper, Cortland Sutton, Allen Robinson, Kadarius Toney, Kenny Galladay, Jamison Crowder, Odell Beckham, Julio Jones, Paris Campbell, and Ashton Dulin. Kind of like my wide receiver situation.
Yeah.
Just ran into trouble with those bye weeks. tight end Alberto, and Rob Gronkowski. So depending on how Rob Gronkowski ends up, that could end up being a
that
nice,
could be solid there.
Yeah. But overall, I just I don't know what it is with these live drafts that we do on these shows, but I always end up hating my freaking teams, man. And this week is no different. I much prefer Snyder's team, but also I'm not liking drafting from the back end this year because you can't really.
Yeah, for sure.
You can't do the same stuff that you were able to do last year with putting together like two conceivably like just stud receivers. I just feel like there's a huge drop off in receiver once you get past Stephon Diggs this year, pretty much, right?
Yeah, I would agree with that for sure. It's definitely trickier. I think you get in some weird situations there at the end.
Yeah. So tough spot to be when you're drafting from the back end this year. Last year was like zero RB paradise. This year,
yeah, for sure.
It's just a shit show. But yeah, just a reminder to sign up if you haven't already for an Underdog account. Use the promo code RUNPURE. You'll get a $100 match on your first deposit up to $100. And yeah, man, we'll be back here more frequently. Hoop's already talking about wanting to jump on with us now that DraftKings has introduced best ball. He's waiting on some of those 3-man drafts.
Yeah, he likes to do those. He does really well on those 3-mans over there.
Yeah, so he'll come on with us and talk some strategy on those 3-mans for Underdog and DraftKings. And then we got Title, was talking up joining us today. So we'll get him on this show pretty soon. He can join us on one of these Best Ball Mania drafts too. So
definitely
should be a fun time, man. Snyder, you got any final thoughts?
No, another good, successful show. We'll probably be back here, in a couple weeks or so and do another one, or as the summer gets going. Looking forward to doing more of these. And the PGA product. I hope the PGA product continues to grow here on Underdog. I like that as well. So, yeah, just pumped for the PGA Championship this week and then everything else we've got going on at Rempier Sports.
Yeah, definitely want to sign up for premium, get access to Snyder's premium thoughts on the PGA slates on a weekly basis. And our whole team with PGA just crushes. Our teams crush with all these PGA, but also all the secondary sports like NASCAR, hockey. One of our Matty Ice won an award for his hockey content recently. So hockey is a thing that you want to check out. We got the playoffs going on with hockey right now. NBA playoffs and showdowns. Our guys are great at that. They're always crushing. BigT pretty much wins every other slate when it comes to.
Yeah, he's on another heater, so you better be tailing his course.
Yeah, he was whining the other day because nobody's giving him props for winning $40K or $60K. But it's like, dude, you got to win six figures at this point, to impress anybody. So, hopefully Big T will be able to turn it around and start winning six figures again instead of just measly 5-figure pulls.
For sure.
Yeah, so the NBA product, of course, and obviously once we get into NFL, there'll be a ton of value in our NFL premium product, and MLB is. The cores have been crushing in MLB lately too, so that's something you want to keep an eye on. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel because we're always doing free MLB shows and free NBA shows and whatnot, and of course our NFL content. So with that, Snyder, it's good hanging out with you again on one of these drafts, and we'll probably see you guys in a couple weeks.